Friday, January 3rd, and this is now on HNN.
The world is a better place without him.
This was very clearly an act of war.
Lawmakers are sounding off following a U.S. drone strike that killed a top Iranian official. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House as the U.S. prepares to send troops to the Middle East.
New details just into our newsroom this morning from investigators at the site of the deadly tour helicopter crash on Kauai.
Just out of nowhere, just like hit him in the back of the head with something.
Developing in Texas, a violent string of deadly attacks at a shopping plaza.
Fire officials say just the slightest shift in the direction of the wind could be devastating.
Underway right now, one of the largest evacuations in Australia's history as the wildfire crisis continues.
Let him get away? Who are you?
These stories and the crossover 5-0 and Magnum PI fans have been waiting for. Coming up on This Is Now. All right, we begin. This is now at this hour at 11:30 here. This is a live picture of Miami. The president expected to take the stage there shortly. He was speaking in another part of Florida earlier this morning. A lot of developments here this morning to get to. Of course, everyone wants to know what's happening with the latest in Iraq with the Iranian general that was killed yesterday. And you got some new details regarding that.
Yes, President Trump authorized a drone strike on a top Iranian general that the U.S. has labeled a terrorist. Skyler Henry has more details from the White House.
The Pentagon is deploying thousands of American soldiers to the Middle East as tensions rise between the U.S. and Iran. This burned out debris shows the aftermath of an American drone strike which killed General Qasem Soleimani, the head of Iran's elite Quds force.
President Trump's decision to remove Qasem Soleimani from the battlefield saved American lives.
The U.S. blames Soleimani for planning a rocket attack on an Iraqi military base last month that killed an American contractor, and for approving the attack on the U.S. embassy in Baghdad this week.
He was actively plotting in the region to take actions, a big action as he described it, that would have put dozens, if not hundreds, of American lives at risk.
The U.S. had been tracking Soleimani for several days, and Defense Secretary Mark Esper hinted at the strike Thursday morning, saying the U.S. would take preemptive strikes if needed.
The game has changed, and we're prepared to do what is necessary to defend our personnel, our interests, and our partners in the region.
President Trump tweeted this morning that Soleimani has killed or wounded thousands of Americans and says he should have been taken out years ago.
The world is a better place without him. The problem is that comes at a very high cost. Number one, there will be dead Americans, dead civilian Americans as a result of this.
Iranians took to the streets Friday to mourn Soleimani's death. In a tweet, Iran's supreme leader vowed a severe revenge. President Trump dismissed the threat, tweeting, "Soleimani was both hated and feared within Iran. They are not nearly as saddened as the leaders will let the outside world believe." Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
All right, we're getting a lot more reaction coming in regarding the story as well.
Yes, Congresswoman and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard was on Fox News this morning and had this to say.
This was very clearly an act of war by this president without any kind of authorization or declaration of war from Congress, clearly violating the Constitution. It further escalates this tit for tat that's going on and on and on, will elicit a very serious response from Iran and pushing us deeper and deeper into this quagmire.
And then Macy Hirono also had some reaction coming in. Let me pull up that reaction right now. And
she released a statement saying that the death of the Iranian general in a U.S. airstrike, quote, further escalates hostilities and increases the potential for widespread violence in a part of the world already fraught with peril. She went on to say, quote, in normal times, you could have confidence that the president, fully cognizant of the potential ramifications of this strike, was mobilizing a whole-of-government response and coordinating with her allies to seek a diplomatic outcome. But these are not normal times.
All right, and we expect to get more reaction coming in later today. We're going to stay with this story for a little bit. We have another report, right?
Yes, the State Department issued an urgent warning overnight telling all Americans in Iraq to leave the country immediately. Ian Lee continues our team coverage from Baghdad.
The death of Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad ignited a new chapter of regional tensions. This morning, Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon ordered its, quote, resistance fighters around the world to avenge Soleimani. Iraq's prime minister says the assassinations are a massive breach of sovereignty, and the security agreement with the United States now needs reevaluation. American allies in the region, like Israel, are preparing for possible retaliation and are on high alert. So are American forces, with 9,000 in the region and 3,000 extra preparing to deploy. Hours before the killings, U.S. troops from the 82nd Airborne Division arrived in Kuwait.
Soleimani is a polarizing figure here in Iraq. His death exposes deep divisions on the country's streets.
In Baghdad's Tahrir Square, anti-government protesters celebrated the news of his death, accusing Soleimani of being behind the deaths of many demonstrators in recent months. The question now isn't whether Iran will strike back, but rather how and to what severity. And when it's over, will the killing of Soleimani have been worth it? Ian Lee, CBS News, Baghdad.
All right, let's get to some other news of the day.
And NTSB investigators say they are now waiting for weather to clear so they may send a recovery team to retrieve the wreckage of a tour helicopter that crashed last week into a remote mountain range on the Hawaii island of Kauai and killed 7 people. The wreckage will be removed by helicopter.
Well, you know, typically investigators, they go to those wreckage sites, they take photos, detailed measurements to determine just the cause of the crash. That's not going to happen here, as you were just saying. Officials say it's going to be safer to get that wreckage out. Instead of actually going there, they're going to pull it out by helicopter and move it to another secure location. The only options they really had if they wanted to go down there is a 4 to 8 hour hike. And that's just really not going to work for what they need to do. They could also tether themselves to helicopters and lower themselves to the site. But again, they've chosen to actually remove it and take it to a secured location. They say they have plenty of drone and photo video that they already have of the wreckage itself, where it took place. And they say that's going to be sufficient to determine what caused this crash. Now on Tuesday, we learned that the helicopter hit the ridge at an altitude of 2,900 feet and then fell another 100 feet. As you mentioned, Lacey, the commercial pilot and all 6 passengers on board were unfortunately lost in that wreckage.
Such a tragic story.
Yes, let's move on to some other news. We've been following the flooding in Indonesia, correct?
Yeah, the flooding over in Indonesia, the death toll has risen to 43 as rescuers found more bodies amid receding floodwaters. Monsoon rains and rising rivers submerged at least 182 neighborhoods in Greater Jakarta and caused landslides in the city's outskirts that buried a dozen people. It was the worst flooding since 2013, when 57 people were killed after Jakarta was inundated by monsoon rains.
And we're still looking at this dramatic video coming in. Just those people being pulled from the floodwaters, rescuers in full action, still some raging rivers there. We were showing very similar video yesterday, but it does not look like it's eased up. I mean,
I can't even believe the amount of water that's running
that had to take to make that happen.
Their neighborhoods, the rescues that have to take place for this.
Yeah, well, let's move on to the other natural disaster making headlines today. That's the Australian wildfires.
Yes, one of the largest evacuation in Australia's history is underway ahead of hot weather and strong winds that are forecast to worsen the devastating wildfires raging across the country. NBC's Janice Mackey-Freyer reports from Australia.
Across southeastern Australia this morning, a heat wave and strong winds are fueling a state of emergency, with new fires burning on an island popular with tourists, and thousands of people on the run from areas along the coast, bracing for what officials call a terrible day. More than 3,000 firefighters, including Americans, are doing what they can from the air and on the ground.
The wildfires came through here a few days ago, but in a lot of places, they're still burning. The conditions are just so dry here. Fire officials say just the slightest shift in the direction of the wind could be devastating.
This nature reserve was teeming with wildlife, now a charred moonscape, but it's contained. Casey Addison and his fire team trying to keep it that way.
This fire's a long way west, and that's where we want to keep it, out in the escarpment area, rather than actually towards our houses and our assets.
So creating speed bumps for the fire?
Yeah, basically trying to slow it down.
Hundreds of people were evacuated today by Australia's Navy after being stranded on a beach hemmed in by flames.
Authorities have expanded the size of the danger zone because of embers that can be whipped up by the wind and start new fires. It doesn't mean everybody is evacuating, but authorities say if necessary, they will force people to get out. Janice Mackey-Freyer, NBC News, Nowra, Australia.
All right, we have some developing news out of Texas. There's some really tense moments unfolding there this morning, right?
Yes, police say a man fatally stabbed one person at a restaurant during a violent string of attacks at a shopping plaza that ended with the suspect leaping off the roof.
Let's listen into some eyewitness sound. This literally just came into our newsroom about an hour and a half ago. This is a witness to what happened.
A random guy came in the shop and he had an object in his hand and just hit an unsuspecting man that was sitting with his wife at a table, like a group of regulars that gather here on Fridays. I come here every day and I've seen them here every Friday, and this guy, I just out of nowhere, just like hit him in the back of the head with something.
The attacks this morning just south of the Texas Capitol terrified customers stopping for their morning coffee along a popular stretch of restaurants and downtown apartments. Authorities say the attack began with the suspect striking a person at a coffee shop before fleeing and stabbing two people at a nearby restaurant. Police say the suspect then jumped off the roof of the building but survived. Investigators say they haven't determined a motive.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's take you outside. The time is now 11:41.
Look at that.
I know. You know, this morning it was very gloomy. I know you were dealing with some wet roads, right?
Very gloomy. This is so different than what we saw a few hours ago.
I even see a peak of blue there.
Love it.
Let's see how it's going to last. Let's check in with our Guy Hoggy.
Happy Aloha Friday. I'm Guy Hoggy with your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. We're dealing with this dissipating front. It's giving us a generous amount of windward and Mauka showers, especially for Maui County and Oahu. So most of the rain will linger for windward sides through tomorrow before drier conditions move in on Sunday. So windward sides will see those scattered showers throughout the day, mainly for Maui and Oahu. And then we'll see drier conditions by midday, if not a little bit later, for most leeward areas and the Big Island outside of the reach of that front. Now the surf will be, the west-northwest swell will be dropping today, but later this afternoon another north-northwest swell will be picking up. But keep in mind, with the breezy winds, not every spot's working. In fact, just a few spots will be offering up some rideable waves today. And on the east shore, it's going to be very messy with those gusty winds. So we're dealing with very blustery conditions. 15 to 25 today, 15 to 30 all the way through Tuesday. We'll see scattered showers kind of easing up as we head into Sunday, but overnight and early morning windward and Mauka showers are likely, and watch out, very strong winds are due into the state starting on Wednesday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Oh, thanks, Guy. All right, this story's trending on our digital platforms right now, all our HNN digital platforms. What's going on in this pic?
We can see former President Obama and First Lady Michelle at a restaurant in Kaka'ako right here on Oahu. Last night, they hosted a group of family and friends at Yaya's Chop House and Seafood. Yeah, located on Keawe Street. Among the guests at the dinner, President Obama's sister, Maya Soetoro Ng, and her family. Former first daughters Malia and Sasha, they did spend Christmas here, but they have since left Hawaii.
Oh, the daughters have left.
Yes.
I know. I wonder how long he's going to stay this time around. I love seeing the pictures of him kissing the babies.
I was going to say, it always pops up in social media. I'm like, oh, he's here, he's there. But he's always so cordial every time. He's either hugging someone or handshaking with someone.
Hey, he's on vacation.
Yeah.
Taking it easy there. All right, it's going to be a huge night for 5-0 and Magnum fans,
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. So it's the crossover that fans of Hawaii 5-0 and Magnum PI have been waiting for. The back-to-back action-packed episodes that begins tonight. This morning on Sunrise, we spoke with the stars of both shows for a sneak preview.
You guys always get the best interviews.
I know.
Guess what? It's here. Magnum PI and Hawaii 5-0 are crossing paths in a major way.
Let him get away? Who are you?
We are enlisted by Garrett and his people to help with the case because our duties are sort of crossing over, and so we end up partnering. And then on our episode, Garrett gets in trouble and some of his partners in 5-0 come to us for help.
Uh-oh, we need help because of another very unfortunate situation.
A series of unfortunate events.
Is it a problem?
You mean other than the fact that I'm a passenger in my own car? No.
Pretty much an inevitability that sooner or later these two shows would cross paths. I mean, we are on an island.
To be over here on their set, and incidentally, the soundstage is about 5 minutes from my house, so it's pretty nice.
The most exciting thing about this, though, for me, is this is my father's favorite show, Hawaii Five-0. I'm trying to make it so that Magnum is his favorite show, but I think it'll be pretty cool, you know, for my dad to be able to turn it on and see me in his show as well.
Fellas, we are in the presence of greatness.
TC, you have literally never driven so slow.
My bad, brother.
I think this is the first of many crossovers. I personally loved it. I think the audience is gonna love it, and I think there will be more.
Ooh, there will be more.
Looking good.
So be sure to tune in. It all begins with Hawaii Five-0 at 7 tonight on KGMB, followed by Magnum PI at 8.
Okay, learn a couple things from that. TC says his real-life dad's favorite show is actually 5-0. Okay, Dad.
Even though he's on,
Yeah,
he's going to try and make him like Magnum.
Crossover himself.
Yeah.
And then, we already saw that Ferrari scene, what's happening there.
My problem is you're driving my car.
Yeah, I love that. That was really cool. All right, what do we got going on next? What's else in the news? We got Golden Globes.
Yes,
We're talking Golden
yes.
Globes. Oh, I gave away what we're going to talk about
As
next.
is
But
in tradition, to the Golden Globes by rolling out the red carpet for the star-studded event. Comedian and host of the show this year, Ricky Gervais, and executive producer Barry Adelman joined several others in rolling out that carpet. The annual Golden Globes Awards Preview Day provides a sneak peek into the Beverly Hilton's transformation as it prepares to host one of Hollywood's biggest events. The award ceremony will air Sunday on KHNL.
big weekend for HNN stations, for sure. And
Now?
a big weekend for you,
Oh,
because
my gosh.
it's all you've been talking about.
I know.
You know you did.
Okay, so Justin Bieber is beginning the new year with a new song. The 25-year-old singer released a new pop single titled Yummy Friday. The song is expected to be on his first album in 5 years. Last month, Bieber announced the new album is expected this year. He also plans to release a documentary series and kick off a world tour in 2020. The Biebs is busy.
I really don't think I have heard a Biebs song in maybe a year or two.
Baby.
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop singing so people don't tune out of this, but a very
singer. Every
busy
time.
young
Welcome
man.
anytime. I should never do it. Speaking of music news, big news.
my
A lot of
gosh.
people, a lot of our millennial fans out there. Coachella lineup announced.
Over social media, the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival 2020 lineup is announced. Rage Against the Machine will headline Friday night. Travis Scott on Saturdays and Frank Ocean on Sundays during the 2-week festival. Others scheduled to appear include Calvin Harris, Louis Capaldi, Flume, and Lana Del Rey. Coachella takes place in Indio, California on April 10th through the 12th and the 17th through the 19th. Pre-sale tickets are first available Monday at noon Pacific time. I know my friends will be waiting for that.
Yeah, it always looks so hot there.
And I think that it's such a large crowd. I don't know if I could handle that amount of people in a tight space.
I love going to venues like the Blue Note here in
Yeah.
town, or like the small theaters we got around. Even the Blaisdell, you get like a way more intimate feeling.
You can move your arms at least.
People live for that festival vibe. Though. I'm
know.
just getting too old for it.
All my friends say it's a blast, and it looks like a lot of fun. But just for me, the crowd factor is a little much.
Well, I already sort of implied I'm not going to go there, but one place I really want to go, and we've sort of started an unofficial campaign here for it, Ashley and I, we really want to go to Tokyo for the Olympics.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so speaking of the Olympics, a pair
Yeah.
of Hawaii high school athletes hope to represent the United States at this summer's Olympic Games as gymnasts. As Jim Mendoza shows us, their specialty is the trampoline.
The high-flying sport of competitive trampoline gymnastics demands fitness and focus and a work ethic that takes years to develop.
You have to be very strong mentally. Trampoline can be very, very mentally challenging.
Hawaii high schoolers Katie Nakamura and Sydney Center have risen to the challenge. They compete at the highest level of trampoline gymnastics.
When I jump, it's very rare that I hear anything. So it's like you're so in the zone.
Last month, the pair helped Team USA win gold at the World Games in Japan. Katie also captured a silver medal in a tandem event.
For me to hear that oh, Team USA World Champions, it was an amazing feeling and it was so unreal.
Scoring is based on execution, degree of difficulty, and height. To execute flips and turns, their jumps can exceed 15 feet.
And when you see your team in the stands, you know, waving their flags and doing the USA cheers, it's like you just see everything and you're like, wow.
And it is gold for the United States of America, and it is tears of joy for Katie Nakamura.
Katie came away from the World Games confident she's got a shot at making Team USA for this year's Summer Olympics.
I realized like I really do belong here. I've earned my place here just as much as everyone else has.
Sydney's also motivated by Olympic dreams.
If 2020 is not attainable, if that goal is not attainable, then I think I'm going to continue on as I go to college and shoot for 2024 in Paris as well. Well, we were together. We were.
Both got hooked on trampoline gymnastics when they were kids. They train hard, and they've proven they have what it takes to jump against the best in the world. Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
Jim Mendoza delivering another great story. He's so good.
I love the way how he really gets to know them. Like, I feel like I know the girls on such a deeper level.
I'm like, he's my desk neighbor, so I see him all the time. And I get to hear what he's working on. Today he's got another good one coming up, I think, at 5 and 6. So not going to give away any details of what it is, but it's a good story. Let's take you outside to close out this show.
I like the
look
music.
at that. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful day.
We do want to let you know there is some developing news happening out of Miami. The president is about to speak. We're going to dip out of this live stream for This Is Now for your Friday. We'll be back here Monday. But we're going to rejoin you on our Facebook page with another live stream when the president does speak. That's coming up in just moments. So until then, goodbye.